It's a Deep Slant one-on-one presented by Xfinity. Our guest this week, Darren Fells. Darren, talk to me about the season you're having so far. You've already exceeded your single season high in touchdowns, and that was just in 5 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been a team player, so my biggest focus is trying to get the win. And my role this year has been a little bit different than I've been used to. Every team I've been on has been a blocking tight end, and so they brought me in and they wanted me to run a couple routes here and there, and I'm like, whatever you guys need me to do, I'm going to do it to try to get this win.
I actually asked offensive coordinator Tim Kelly about this. I said, you brought Darren Fells to be a blocking tight end. That was sort of your vision for him. Has he exceeded your expectations with everything that you're able to do in the receiving game? And they said no, because with your athleticism and the basketball background, that's sort of how they hoped that you had played out. But how about for yourself? Are you having more fun here than you've ever had? I would imagine it's a lot of fun to be on the receiving end.
It definitely is a lot of fun because it's just one of those things. It makes me, I'm no longer one-dimensional. I mean, I've always hated to be one-dimensional, even with playing basketball. I didn't want to just do one thing. I've always wanted to be like the LeBron type of player. So being able to go out there and, I'm not trying to say I'm the LeBron of the football field, but being able to just do a lot more out there, it's a lot more fun.
You mentioned basketball, and I don't know if you remember this, but in training camp I'd asked you about touchdown celebrations. And you had not thought about it, and then during one of your touchdown celebrations, you did like this Euro basketball move.
Step, yeah.
And I felt like, did I get in your head? Were you thinking about that? It was a nod to your basketball playing days, wasn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. I've told the guys that from now on I'll do a little basketball thing because that's my background. Yeah. But they gave me a lot of fuss with my first touchdown I had. They're like, no celebration, you just dropped the ball and you just didn't do anything. Yeah, exactly. So like, you need to give us something else next time. So okay. Everything related is going to be basketball.
Well, you know, if there's one thing that I've heard about you over and over again from both Bill O'Brien and from Tim Kelly and anyone else that we've asked about you is that you're just such a professional. You sort of came in here, you're a veteran of the group. Your professionalism, did that sort of come from the fact that you did play basketball and then you started football? Like, your start in the NFL was much later than, say, most rookies. Or is that just your personality? Because I kind of sense that it could be either with you.
I feel like it's a little bit of both. I've always been like a hard hat player ever since college. I've never been one of those guys that feels privileged to be there or whatever. I've always needed to work for everything I've got. And I feel like no matter how far I get and how many years I play, I feel like I'm always going to have to do that. And then also being a 26-year-old rookie, it definitely helped.
You're a little bit more mature, right?
Yeah. So I was already going in the league, had my fiance and everything, and it was just one of those things. My roots were grounded. I was already grounded coming in the NFL, so I didn't have any outside problems here or there. So I just can focus on football and try to get myself better.
You were such a good football player in high school. Why did you decide to go the basketball route in college? Why didn't you stick with football?
I actually wanted to do both, but my main focus was basketball at the time. So I would ask scouts, like, is it possible for me to do both, but focus on basketball and then football? But not very many college coaches want their basketball players going on the football field.
DeAndre Hopkins is one of them. He was playing basketball for Clemson. That didn't last very long.
Exactly.
They made him pick one very quickly.
Exactly. So it was one of those things that a lot of coaches knew that I'd have to focus on one, and coming out of high school, basketball was my first love. And so that's the path I ended up taking.
So when basketball didn't pan out, was it hard to get reacclimated back to the NFL because you hadn't played it in a while? How did you so quickly get back? I mean, it's hard for guys that have played football in college to get into the NFL, and here you are spending all these years playing basketball.
I wouldn't say so quickly. It took me, I would say, about 3-4 years to actually feel extremely comfortable out there. The hardest thing was just learning the language. Because I remember my first meeting, I went in, the coaches were talking like, yeah, so when we make him the mic, you gotta make sure that the Sam and Star here, blah, blah, blah. I'm looking at guys like, what number is Mike? Like, who is Mike? It was just one of those things, like I had to learn the language before I can actually learn the playbook. And then once I learned the playbook, then it was like, am I even running the routes properly? It was just all these little things here and there. I did not know what I was doing out there at all.
So was it easier to be a blocking tight end rather than a receiving tight end? Is that why you were that was your role, or is it just because of physically it was easier for you?
It was one of those things that I knew I wasn't the most athletic guy on the team. Like most guys coming out of college, they were the faster guys. They can run routes crisp because that's what they did all for 4 years in college. And so I knew there's no way for me to make the team and be a receiving tight end, even though my basketball background was, every coach was looking at, okay, he's going to be the next Jimmy Graham or Tony Gonzalez type of thing. And it was like, I knew I didn't have that extreme athleticism like they did, so I was trying to figure out what was my next, what can I pick up to be a dominant guy in the league, or something that other guys can't really do that I can learn and build on. And talking with a bunch of coaches and talking with a bunch of players, they're like, with my length, you can be an excellent blocking tight end. And so I just spent time on that, hired a offensive line coach to teach me how all these little things here and there, and yeah, the rest is history.
Did you watch any particular tight ends to sort of model your style after, or is this just really the Darren Fells style?
It was more, I watched a bunch of like veterans, and I would always go after guys who were in the league longer, and they weren't like #1 draft picks. There were some guys that I had to like work to get to where they are, and they found little nicks here and there that helped them out, and I would talk with them and ask them like what they did to stay in the league so long, or what little thing. I'd even look at them at practice and see little things that help them in the run game or in the pass game when they're blocking, and I just stole a little from here and there from a bunch of different guys and tried to figure it out.
Your chemistry with DeSean this year is so good. You haven't been here that long. What sort of things have you done with him to sort of build that chemistry? I know he's worked with the tight ends and the wide receivers, but why this year? Why is this the year that you think you've done so well in the receiving game? Or was it sort of building throughout your career?
I think it's more, the chemistry comes with trust. I've been running route. I think it's one of those things, he knows where I'm going to be, and I know where he's going to put the ball. It's when he throws it to me, he knows I'm going to come down with it. It's just one of those things. If it's not right, I'll go and talk to him, and we'll figure it out together, and then we'll go and do the play over again, and we'll get it right. And so it's one of those, like I said, it's just building that trust and of knowing what I'm going to do and what he's going to do. I
have to say, whenever I'm out and about and people come up to me, the one thing that I get asked, and this is 100% the truth, they say, that Darren Fells is something else. He should get the ball more. People are so impressed with what you're able to do in the receiving game that they just can't seem to get enough of you. And I just thought that maybe you and DeSean are probably doing something on the side to sort of build that chemistry. I actually asked him if you two had played basketball together. He said no. I was like, what are you two doing on the side to build your chemistry? But he said you do watch highlights with. He has watched basketball highlights with you.
A few times, yeah.
You trying to give him pointers in the basketball game? Or
he hasn't asked me any pointers in basketball yet, but if he wants to learn how to get a nice little jump shot, I'll teach him.
You've played basketball internationally, and now the Texans are going to London for the first time. So how exciting is that for you? And I've been asked to ask you your advice for jet lag, beating the jet lag.
So I've heard two different things about that. Because we're not going to be there so long, it might be impossible to beat the jet lag. Because when I was over there, obviously I was there for 10 months out of the year playing basketball.
So you were well adjusted.
So yeah, I ended up getting adjusted, but they said the quickest way to get adjusted to that time difference is obviously sleep, but you have to be there the amount of time, time difference, like the hours. So if it's like 6 hours ahead, you have to be there for 6 days.
Oh.
Fully get adjusted. Yeah, that's
Okay.
what I was told. I don't know how true that is, but I felt like I was able to adjust faster once I got.
So it takes that
off.
amount,
Yes.
that many number of days,
Yeah.
like a day, an hour per day is what you're gonna how you're gonna acclimate.
Yes,
Your
yes.
acclimation rate.
Yeah.
That's a nice little formula you just
Yeah.
came up with.
So, and we're only going to be there for like 4 days, so you don't really have the time to really adjust. But I've heard the sooner you get there, the harder it is to adjust, if that makes sense.
Because you're kind of in the middle of it once the game
Yeah.
comes about.
Yeah,
So it's better.
It's better to leave later and get there, so your body doesn't really get used to that time difference, so you can just go out there
and just play and then come
just
back.
play,
I feel
yeah.
like the Jaguars did this because they used to go early on. They used to go like Monday or Tuesday, and then with each year they sort of learned that they go Friday, just rip off the Band-Aid, play, and then come right back, and you're not really off your schedule too much. When you played internationally, did you play in England a lot? What do you remember about playing in London?
I did not play in London at all.
You didn't play much?
No, I played in Belgium. In Europe, I played in Belgium, Finland, and France.
What was the craziest rivalry that you saw over there? Because we don't know much about international
There's
basketball.
not extreme rivalries. It's more if the team won the championship the year before, every team was that rival because they wanted to beat that champion team. Basketball was big, but it wasn't anywhere near like NBA, I would say.
Sure.
Yeah, and so it was a lot of fun because obviously the schedules aren't not as strenuous as the NBA is. You have more time off. You can actually go and explore the city. So being in Belgium was more of a cultural, like being able to be out there and experience the culture and have fun like that. That was pretty awesome.
How about for you now? You said that early on in your career you spent a lot of time with offensive line coaches. Who do you spend a lot of time with? Because you're asked to do so much in this offense. Do you spend time with offensive linemen, the wide receivers? I mean,
we
you
don't
sort of fit in a little bit everywhere.
Yeah, we don't get a lot of time during the week to be able to sit down with a guy and experience. So it's more outside that we can
really do your bonding.
Yeah. Having 2 kids in my life now, it's a little bit harder to be like.
You mean you don't have all this free time? What are you talking about?
Zero
I totally
free time.
understand.
The minute I get home, my daughter and son are in my face, and I'm having fun with them.
Do they know what you do? Do they know that you play football?
They do.
Are they at that age yet, or not really?
They do, but they don't. They understand, like when they see football, they understand that's what Daddy does, but I don't think they truly understand that, oh, it's NFL, it's football. My daughter's to the point where like she knows the Texans, she'll do the Texan signs, and my son, anytime he sees football on TV, Daddy, Daddy, even if I'm not even playing it, it's just Daddy.
All right, great stuff. Can't wait to see what the rest of the season holds for you.
Oh, thank you.
All right, thanks so much. Darren Fells.